Clinical Writer's Choice. Part 3, Resources and Skills. Unit 22, History and Development of English. Lesson 2, From Speaking to Writing. Browse to an international bookstore, whether it be your public library or somewhere like in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, scratch that last part there, you might see a lot of different language books. So what would you say? Mainly, it would possibly be English, because that's probably one of the international languages in the world that connects us harmoniously. But then again, if you're Chinese, you might want to look for Chinese books, and languages are a bit hard to understand, especially a foreign language itself. Some of those languages in the world, like Chinese, are considered to be one of the hardest languages to learn because of their pictographs and their 50,000 character alphabet. 50,000? That's kind of ridiculous in my opinion, but then again, I'm studying it, so it's possible to learn them all. The Chinese can do it. Skip that part, and it's probably easier to read your own language. Chinese is written, well, it used to be written from top to bottom. It's a logographic writing system, meaning that it's like pictures, but not exactly pictures too. Let me show you. This is the Chinese logography system. This is pronounced as 1, and according to it, it means character. This is the Japanese, which means language. According to pronunciation, it says kotoba. And this is the Greek alphabet. Not so weird, to be honest. And this is logos, meaning word. Actually, that's where we get our words. That's where English gets most of its words from. And picture writing. People do not always have writing. In fact, they didn't even have pencils back then. They just had those reed scratch things. No, in fact, actually almost everyone had to speak, and the only time that they really started needing a writing system was when they needed to record some information. According to legend, Egyptian god called Thoth created that, and created a little something called writing, and however it was criticized by the leading god, and still the Egyptians used it. It's called hieroglyphs, and you probably learned that in your history class. The hieroglyphs, that is one of the most important things, it's the basic writing system ever. It's basically pictures that represent something. And originally, it would try to draw the object itself that it's trying to describe, and the sound of what you try to mean it, well, they decide for themselves. And for sounds and symbols, picture writing is extremely hard, and they decided they need a simpler writing system, and so the cuneiform people decided to use scritch and scratches of arrows. I probably already showed a video of that when you bring it. Cuneiform only consists of 600 wedge-shaped symbols. At first, these symbols actually reproduce some words and objects and ideas, but at some point they will be limited. Some can be associated with some sounds, like A, as I just said, the letter A can be associated with the sound A, or ah, or actually that's about it. And then we get letters. First of all, the Phoenicians decided that their original alphabet was too complicated, and that they needed a simpler system of writing. And so they got some of the best top people and got them to make a new system for them. And boom, we got the Phoenician alphabet, which is about 22 letters in their alphabet. The Greeks furthered the Phoenician alphabet by adding their own, and represented some vowel sounds by adding those extra characters to actually create those vowel sounds. Nowadays, a vowel is A-E-I-O-U. And all the alphabets today are mainly derived from the Greek language too. And now let's talk about malaphorisms. Now, you may have watched at the end of some videos a blooper. I have some of those on some of my videos too. And you might accidentally mistaken some things, like this little photo right here. You might see Amiga in a Texas suit like this. Actually, it's more of a Spanish suit, to be honest. So, until next week, adios, amibas. When he actually tried to mean, adios, amigos. There are some things that I can say. Bloopers are basically what malaphorisms are. Like Rich, he's a melted millionaire, when he really meant was multi-millionaire. See? It's kind of confusing, don't you think? Pompeii was a city which was buried under molten lava, when you actually meant molten lava. moldy, molten. They kind of sound similar, don't you? A lot of times, you might even have some weird things into your case. Malaphorisms, they're funny too. And the first person who tried to make this a great common misunderstanding, but also fun and not so ridiculous, was a guy called Sheridan, Richard Sheridan, who wrote a book series called The Rivals, with a little character doing all these malaphorisms, like butchering the English language. And that's about it. See you next time in lesson 3. Shannon out. Peace.